In this video, we are going to be creating the clustered column chart. We're going to be creating the clustered column chart. However, before we get started, what I'd like for you to do is to join my community. And in order to do so, all you have to do is scan the QR code, follow the link, input your email, and you will become what? Voila, a member of the community. What do you get with the community? You get my free weekly newsletter, which gives you access to my Power BI jobs portal. You get access to my Power BI jobs portal. You get access to my Power BI office setup with all the different equipment pieces that you'll need in order to create a successful Power BI office and much more. So if you don't mind, scan the QR code, follow the link, input your email, and join my community. With that said, let's move right over into creating a clustered column chart. Welcome back to another lesson in the power of the BI. That's right. Welcome back to another lesson in the power of the BI. Today we are going to be, well, this lesson, depending on if you're looking at this video day, night, or whatever it may be. But in this video, we are going to be discussing the clustered column chart. We're going to be discussing the clustered column chart. Kind of touched on columns and bars, and when we initially were discussing visualizations, but we're going to go a little bit more in depth here as we talk about the clustered column chart. So, just as in any of the visualizations, we are going to go over and we're going to select clustered column chart. So I'm just going to select clustered column chart. Now, in the column chart, we have two axes. The x-axis, which is horizontal, and the y-axis, which is vertical. Normally in our column charts, the values are going to be on the y-axis and the category is going to be on the x-axis. Again, the y value is going to be the value. It could be, again, those things that could be aggregated. Previously I called it facts. So your facts, which is going to be things that can be added, subtracted, multiplied, and divided, pretty much measured. The things that we can measure are going to, the measuring values are going to be on the y-axis, and on the horizontal axis is going to be the descriptions, the categories, or what we call the dimensions. So one dimension we use quite a bit when using the column chart could be the date. So I'm going to go over and I'm going to grab one of the dates. I'm going to grab out of the sales order detail table. I'm going to grab the modified date out of the sales order detail table, and I'm going to place it in the x-axis. And as you can see, when I grabbed it out of the x-axis, we've got all values of dates, or all descriptions of dates: year, quarter, month, and day. One of the values that we can measure, or we can observe, analyze in the sales order detail table is going to be, let's see, line total. So let's grab line total and let's place line total in the y-axis. Again, as we can see, those things that we can measure, the actual value of the measure, the actual values are on the y-axis, and what we're measuring by, the descriptions, the categories, are on the x-axis. Now, these two lines up here mean it's a hierarchy, which means we can drill into it, right? So if we want to, we can actually drill down. Let's use the two. We drill down. We went from year to now looking at quarters, which is the next level down when it comes to looking at dates. We can drill down even further, and now we're down to month. So now we're seeing what the different line totals were by month. We can go even deeper and we can look at it by day. We can go by day. Now, We could go even deeper than that, but at that point, looking at hours and minutes and seconds, we would have to create a measure in order to calculate those items, and we'd actually have to have those items first. I mean, we have to have the item, we have to have those items first, and then be able to drill into a little bit further. Not often will we have to do that. Depends on the actual project, depends on the client, but for the most part, typically drilling in by date down to the day is pretty good. And actually, as you can tell, it really gets, it spreads out a whole lot when we start talking about a 30-day calendar. We can actually use this arrow again, and we can drill back up. We're currently at day, and how I know we're at day, so on the x-axis, we've got 0 to 30, so that's showing us, and down here it actually says day. So it's day 0 over to day 30, maybe day 31 with 31-day month. We can drill back up, and now we're looking from January to December, so we're drilling now by month, or we're viewing now by month, and we can drill back up. We go by quarter, so now we actually see values by quarter, and we can drill back up, and we get back to the year. Now, the reason why this is called a clustered column chart is because we can actually look at multiple values at the same time. So here we're looking at line total. So how much line total, how much of a specific item is sold per month. We can actually look at another value, and let's see if we have another value here. Let's look at, we can actually look at another table. We don't even have to look at the same table. Let's look at, well, I don't want to confuse you too much. So let's go with order quantity. So we have line total, and let's look at order quantity. So we can grab order quantity. Again, we're grabbing everything out of the sales order detail table. We don't have to grab everything. We don't have to analyze everything out of sales order detail. That's why we created a model relationship early on, so that we can compare values and elements from different tables. But in this particular case, we're going to grab an element. We're going to use the same item, use items out of the same table, so it doesn't confuse you a whole lot, at least right now. So we're going to grab out of the sales order detail table, we're going to grab order quantity, and we're going to place that on the y-axis as well. So now we see we have two values that we're looking at here in the months, but for order quantity, it's kind of low, so by year. So let's drill into it by month. So we drill down by month, we drill down, and we're still not seeing a whole lot of value. So I don't really want to use order quantity because we're not able to tell exactly what that is. Line total, sales order, detail ID, sales orders, special offer. Let's see if we get anything out of unit price. So as we can see here, a unit price, which, this really doesn't tell us a whole lot, but it lets us see what a cluster column chart does. So by unit price, we see that the unit price exceeds 5 million in January, and it exceeds 4 million in June, and the line total exceeds 9 million in June, and line total exceeds 13 million in March. And what we have here are called pop-outs, to where we can see, if we hover over one of the columns, it'll tell us, what that particular cost is, or what that particular line total is. It'll tell us what month it is. So that's another cool thing about Power BI. But bottom line, what we're trying to understand here is that a clustered column chart allows us to see make multiple analysis at the same time, but they're side by side. So let's take one more. I mean, it's not a limit to how many items we can see at one time. Unit price discount, we can bring that in. And as you can see now, we have several. The unit price discount is really not that much, but we brought in several. We can bring in several items. I am going to go down to another table, and sales last year. So as you can see now, we can bring in elements from another table, and we can bring in elements from the same table. We can drill in, we can drill up. So it doesn't matter how many items you want to see that value for in the month of any month or any quarter, or even on any day. Let's drill back down to the day and see what that looks like. So we got sales by day, which is huge, but it looks like it's not popping up for me. Oh, yeah, it's not popping. Oh, we already drew down by month. So on day 30, it seems as if the line total exceeded 40 million, but there was slightly less than that, or a little less than that in sales last year. But if we drill back up, we'll start seeing the numbers change and start seeing the bars change a little bit. And again, this is all, kind of dummy data type. So, you're going to have consistent analysis as we're looking at the dummy type data. But in the real world, this really could fluctuate, and that's kind of why the owner or the client is looking for Power BI so that they can actually see or have those analysis. So again, the cluster column chart, we're able to look at certain items side by side, so that we can do our analysis. So that is it for the clustered column chart. Again, if you have any questions, go over to the Facebook group. Put your questions in. Let's get our questions answered in the Facebook group. You can reach out to your classmates. If you got emails or phone numbers of your classmates, I highly recommend that you reach out to your classmates. But if you do not have your emails or your classmates, reach out in the Facebook group. Put your questions or your comments into the Facebook group so that everyone on the team, everyone in the group, everyone in the class can really benefit from the questions that you're asking or the statements that you're making. So once again, thank you for jumping in on this lesson, and I look forward to seeing you again in the next lesson.